I hope you guys enjoyed the pod. Be sure to follow us on Instagram or YouTube at podpractice_pod. Email us at show@podpracticepod or listen on Spotify at podpractice.
I think Quinn, you're like a pseudo guest this time.
Yeah.
No,
I think
why?
So too.
But I feel pseudo guest. Wait, okay, never mind. I lied. I actually don't know what pseudo means. Let me just.
I thought you were the smart guy.
I just appearing smart. Gaslighting me.
Welcome back to Pod Practice, episode 10. With me, as always, are Alex Atkins and Quinn Feiner. Today, we welcome in Quinn's better half, Devynn Miller. Devynn and Quinn are tying the knot this weekend in Denver. Devynn, welcome to the show. Any cold feet?
No, luckily not yet. Ask me again on Saturday.
Marriage pod. I was excited for marriage pod.
Today we're mixing things up a little bit because it's going to be a special weekend for our dearest Quinn and his lovely fiance Devynn, and we thought we'd do a little life pod this week. Kins, what do you got for us?
I don't know, man. I don't know. You populated this doc. I think there's a lot of places we could start with this. So why don't we start at the beginning? Where did you guys meet and how? Devynn, I'm asking you this question.
You're asking me this question?
Yes.
All right. Well, our two friends, Paul and Audrey, were dating, and we both went to different high schools. And Audrey was like one of my best friends in high school. Quinn's best friend, Paul. I don't know. I think we first met like a year before we started dating, and I was trying to hook up Quinn with my friend Claire. And then luckily that didn't work out. So flash forward a year later, it was like a high school graduation party for our friend Paul at his house. And yeah, we kind of connected, and that's pretty much that. And we started dating like a month later, and that's pretty much the story.
So that was in high school, graduating high school.
True high school sweethearts.
Yeah, Quinn was going into his junior year of high school. I was going into my senior year of high school.
Was Quinn better or worse looking then?
Worse, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
We can pull up a
He was a
picture.
little scrawny boy.
Growth mindset.
Yeah.
Little boy.
So that was like the end of high school.
Yeah. I guess like middle for Quinn. For me, end of high school.
Oh, so you're older than Quinn.
I'm a year older.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I didn't know that.
Cougar.
Yeah, I'm a cougar. A whole 8 months for
I'm in the
for us.
cradle.
Right.
But I'm a school year older.
This is why he's never truly grown up and still like loves anime. But so do I.
I guess I get in that bucket too because I have an anime tattoo. So I guess I'm in that group too.
Yeah, and then what's your reason for still watching anime?
Being a child.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no excuse. I'm just really immature.
Exactly.
So Devynn, you are an athlete as well, though. After college, after high school, you ran, right? Is that right at Kentucky?
Yeah. I ran cross country and track at Kentucky for 2 years. So yeah, like competed, I guess, kind of high level in high school and stuff, and then like did the whole college visit thing and visited like 4 different schools, talked to a bunch of different schools, and then ended up going to UK and running for them, and it was super cool. SEC school, D1, really fun overall.
Yeah, having been around a bunch of actual D1 athletes, does that color your view of ultimate players at all? And what do you think of the sport in general? I think we'll get into some of your takes on the sport, but
yeah, we can get into my takes. I gave Quinn my preview of my hot takes on on frisbee. I mean, like Kentucky was really weird because they are like it's a really big sprint program for track. So like they have some like the best sprinters in the world. I'd say like distance people are good, but it's still like an up and coming program. And like when I was there, even more so. Like Kenny Harrison, world record holder in the 100 hurdles, she went there. Jasmine Camacho Quinn, she went there, and she's a gold medalist in the hurdles, and like just like some really incredible athletes were there. So like I think it was a lot more intense than I had ever anticipated. Like in high school, everything was like really lighthearted, and I was like guess like on the better side of people. Like, you know, I mean, I wasn't like the best in the country by any means, but like ran at nationals every year, ran at some national like track championships. And then like went to college and realized that like I sucked ass compared to everyone else. And there was a lot of people out there that were like way, way, way better than me. And like it was just way more intense and like a lot less lighthearted. So I'd say that there's like pros to going to a D1 school that's like really big and it's like a really good program, but it also like definitely became a lot more of a job than it was like for fun, like it was in high school. Like bringing that to the Frisbee community, I mean, it's just so much different because I think that everything is just like people take it really serious, but at like the end of the day, it's still like fun and friends and like people are just like enjoying their time together. And like, I mean, I was like listening to the podcast, listening to everybody else's experience outside of just like Quinn's experience that I've been part of. It seems like the community factor is like big across all of the big teams. And I think that it still seems like people are having a lot of fun and like enjoying their time doing it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't necessarily say that was like completely true.
At least
Running at like
with your experience.
with my experience.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I think just like in general, as you get like more elite within sort of like traditional sports, a lot of times it just becomes like more of a job and like show up at this time and be there at this time. And you have morning practice, night practice, you have training at this time, you have PT at this time, weights at this time. Like everything was so incredibly structured that it kind of like lost a little bit of the magic, I would say.
So we're talking like 7 days a week?
Yeah, every single day. Yeah. And like missing practice was like no way an option. Like if you miss practice, it was like a big ordeal and you better have like a really good excuse for it.
Yeah.
I would just say, yeah, it's like way more structured and like way more treated like a job, especially because like scholarships and like if you have a scholarship, you're taking scholarships from other people and like always kind of maintaining that scholarship or like competing at a level to maintain that scholarship, where it almost becomes like a, you know, when you're at a job, if you aren't like at your expectations, like you could get fired. Like it's kind of that same dynamic.
Yeah. It's interesting to hear how that like it seems like it burnt you out and
Yeah.
And maybe on the flip side, maybe we just don't know what we don't know, in the sense like I think the three of us kind of wish that everybody treated Frisbee like their jobs and wish that we could just spend even more time doing it, even though we spend so much time doing it. Yeah, I guess, I segue. And then as Quinn's partner, like, so even before I've gotten to know you a bit better in the last few months, it's always been pretty clear that you've been super supportive of Quinn and Ultimate, like seeing you at the airport on the same flights as all of his teammates.
I was watching the U24 game versus Canada in the finals, and I saw Devynn in the stands.
Oh, really?
And I paused.
I did go all the way to Heidelberg, Germany. So I was there too.
Yeah. And not even just the teammates of the, like, you know, opponents' names, you knew that Pavel was a shithead. But like, I maybe this is actually more of a question for Quinn, like a two-parter. What's it like knowing that you have a partner who's so supportive of some, like, you do this every fucking day for so many hours, and like, do you think you ever take it for granted?
Yes, I definitely take it for granted. I will admit. But it is awesome having a partner that does support me through all this stuff, especially since I spend, you know, God knows how long every day, every week doing something that doesn't really bring us like money or anything like that really contributes to our relationship. So I definitely take it for granted and just kind of think it's like it's even baked into our relationship at this point. Like I've said I won't stop playing frisbee till I'm, like 35 or till I'm bad. So we can't like have a kid until then if we're going to have kids, because I want to play frisbee, and if we don't want to have a kid while I'm playing frisbee, because that just seems impossible. So it's just kind of baked in at this point.
Daddy did it. Bristol.
I don't. He had 2 kids and he did it.
Just had that third.
Yeah. Just had the third.
Just had the third. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congrats, Bristol.
Congrats, Bristy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like I think like that's been like a big conversation for us. Like, I mean, right? Like the wedding is planned around frisbee. The honeymoon is planned around frisbee. Like, right? Like everything is just becoming so like just ingrained in like our day-to-day life. And like I know when Quinn's available to be able to do stuff when I want to plan things. Like my friends know when Quinn's available to do stuff when we plan things. Like I think it's just like I guess we've just become so accustomed over the last few years and like everything getting more and more and more busy. Obviously, adding like the summit to the roster things to do. I think it's sometimes hard for me because I'm not doing it every day, but at the same time, like the joy that it brings him and like the amount of time and energy that he spends in it, I see it. It's not like something that's bad for him, and like the people that are surrounding him are like good people and support him in what he's doing and not like total shitheads. And for the most part, like everyone is good people, so I think that makes it a lot more enjoyable for me, and like getting to know all of you guys and just being more part of it, I think brings me a lot of joy, and seeing him happy brings me a lot of joy. So I think that's it helps being supportive, even though there's all of this going on that sometimes makes me frustrated and crazy from a partner's perspective.
I could be playing video games and smoking weed all day.
Yeah.
So
you can do both
in the background of Devynn's Zoom calls.
Exactly.
With your shirt off.
I need to be half naked in my Zoom calls, during
that's
COVID.
A good story to tell.
Oh yeah, can one of you tell that story?
Yeah, it's like a Friday morning. Every Friday morning at my first role, like my first job out of school, we had a meeting with the president of our company, and I presented every single Friday morning to him. And Quinn comes waltzing out. We were in this like small, 600 square foot apartment, and it's in the middle, like early COVID. Everyone's getting used to Zoom. Blurred backgrounds aren't quite there yet. And Quinn comes waltzing outside, shirtless.
I'm furloughed, by the way. I don't have a job.
He didn't have a job at that point, and there was no other space for the desk that I was working at except for in our living room, because we were in like tiny apartment. And he comes waltzing out into the kitchen just shirtless in the back of my video with the president of the company, as I'm still wearing like kind of nice clothes on Zoom because that was company culture. And everyone just knew Quinn is the shirtless guy in my background.
And this happened for weeks before it was brought to Devynn's attention that everybody could see me. So I was doing this for multiple weeks before someone actually told her. And of course, I'm in the background yelling on my headset at Plow and at Jackson Zemer, like during. So yeah, if we can make it through that, we can do anything.
We moved out of that apartment after 4 months because I was going to murder him, and we moved into a 2-bedroom apartment where I could have office. So we broke our lease to leave because there was no way that we were going to be able to deal with that. I was not going to be able to deal with that any longer because I was 2 seconds away from killing him. So
my god, I love that story. That's so good. I'm just like imagining like Quinn not having gotten a haircut in months too, and like having that fro.
It's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. It was too much.
That leads me into a bunch of different questions that I want to ask, but I have a good one now because clearly there was some tension there. How do you guys handle conflict in a relationship, and what does that look like when you guys get into a fight or a disagreement or an argument?
I mean, I would say we work really well together because I'm really uptight and Quinn's really not uptight. He's a pretty go with the flow dude, and he doesn't really get like upset super easily. I've probably seen him like actually angry like 3 times in the 9 years that we've been together. he gets a lot more mad about sports than anything that we ever get in conflicts about. So I mean, I think that's probably why it works well, because he's pretty like go with the flow, do whatever, and I'm not necessarily that way. So I guess that's a
I don't know if you give yourself enough credit. I feel like Quinn is always just like talking shit to
Maybe we get a different
like,
side of him though, Mikey.
yeah, I
well,
think we
that's true.
definitely get a different side. I mean, I think when we do get in really big arguments, it's like probably we just get really mad and say mean things and then come back later and say, I'm sorry, and this is why it made me feel this way, and I
Yeah.
understand that you maybe didn't see it that way. Doesn't really
But I always have to
Yeah,
apologize
Quinn
first.
always
It's
has to
never.
apologize.
I always
Yeah.
like it. It doesn't even matter if it was my fault or anything.
So they say you feel like you've gotten better at this over time, probably, like your conflict resolution.
Yeah, we know each other better
Yeah.
and we communicate better than we did a year ago or 2 years ago for sure.
Yeah, I feel like we've done a better job over the last few years being like, hey,
You have your own team culture.
yeah, this really pissed me off. I didn't really like the way you do that. When you do this, it makes me feel like this. When I do this, it makes me feel like this. I still think it's definitely we work well because Quinn is a lot more relaxed than me. That's the moral of it.
Earlier, we were talking about the positive impacts that Ultimate has on his life, and indirectly the fact that you get to know some folks and maybe make some friends / acquaintances. But when you say that out loud, it makes a ton of sense. But in practice, like I think that's still pretty rare. I, I I think I'm saying it out loud just because I'm pretty impressed that you're like are even interested in getting to know some of his teammates. Like, has that ever been challenging, or is it because of like the age? Like, because there's like his college buddies, and you hang out with your college friends in the same way that you would just any other friend.
um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that we've like melded lives a lot. Like I have kind of like melded into like his people and he's kind of melded into my people. And so we've kind of just like when Quinn spends a lot of time with people, like I'm generally like I want to go and hang out with who he's with and hang out with him all the time. I mean, I enjoy like Quinn is by far and away my best friend. And like if I am gonna do anything at like on the weekend or at night or after work, like I want to spend time with him. So if he's going and meeting all of these people, like I want to be part of that and hanging out with his people. And I think it's personally, I think it's really strange when you're with a partner like long time and you don't get to know their friends or you don't spend a lot of time with their friends. And when he talks about like, I know people that I don't know as well, like maybe, I don't know, like Denny. I don't know why Denny came to my mind, but like I've gotten to know Denny better over the last year and I didn't really know him. And it feels weird when he says people's names constantly and I have no idea who they are. And
Yeah.
I don't know anything about them and they don't know anything about me. And that just feels like really unnatural to me.
Smith was
Yeah,
a good
Smith's a
example
good
of this. I used to talk about Smith a lot. Like I would text Smith a lot. We would talk about God knows what music and
Well, now we're texting
shows
about
and
pickleball.
just now we text about pickleball all the time. But like Smith and I would text a lot, and I would always talk about Smith and Devin. I don't think Devin had ever even met Smith. Like she'd go, "Who's Smith?" And I go, "Stanley Peterson." She'd go like, "Who's Stanley Peterson?" Like, so that's a good example. But I would also say like my people are now her people, so it's just like we're all in the same friend groups now, basically.
And it probably leads to better conversations and stuff because you have more context on what's going on. So you can talk about current events that are happening and you actually have a background of who those people are, like you were saying. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would have a hard time talking about Frisbee if I didn't know anybody on the team. Right? Like he would say stuff and he would say, this person is bugging me or this person did something really well or I'm excited to see this person this weekend, whatever. And if I didn't have a face to the name, I would just be like, all right, yeah, whatever. I don't really care. I think you have to know people to be able to have like any sort of connection with them, or even just know what they look like, put a face to the name. I mean, there's definitely people that I know better than others, like Jarv and Plow and Isaac and all of them that we
Yeah.
spent a lot more time with. But if I didn't have any context for who they were, like other teammates were, I would be a lot less invested. And when I get to know people and I get to like people, I think I put a lot more like value into conversations with Frisbee,
Yeah.
you know?
I'm trying to avoid speaking or continuing to ask questions from one angle, like from a perspective of like Quinn's a Frisbee player and you're his partner, but like that's kind of my perspective too in general. So I'll ask a couple more, at least specific to that point of view. The first one being like, what about you're like hanging out with Quinn's teammates, and then his teammates bring their girlfriends along or their wives along. Like, do you feel some obligation to get to know them? Is that something that's natural for you, or is it just like annoying? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Uh,
Have you ever thought about that?
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like an obligation at all. I mean, generally, I'm not, like there's girls that are like girls that spend a lot of time with girls and like are around a lot of girls and stuff. Like, I've just never really been that way. So that's probably part of it. I think I'm not really the first person to like go over and say, hey, like I'm Devyn, I'm Quinn's girlfriend, fiance, wife, whatever. I'm more of a, if somebody gets introduced to me, then I'll be like, hey, I'm Devyn. It's
Talk to
not
them.
that I
Yeah.
don't want to. It's just, it doesn't even, I think it's like out of my comfort zone to go and say hi and meet people. I mean, like Quinn has introduced me to everybody on the team. I don't know if I've ever been like, hey, I'm Devyn. I'm like Quinn's fiance.
Yeah.
Nice to meet
Yeah.
you. You know, I'm just not necessarily like an outgoing, super outgoing person unless I know you. So like that's probably part
Yeah.
of it. I don't really think, I don't really feel like an obligation, but when like Claire came around, Jarv's girlfriend, I got to know her a lot better, and like spent time with her, and that's been really fun just because she's around at like a lot of the events and stuff that I'm at. So like that's been good. People that are around constantly, I think I get to know better. People that are one-offs, I don't necessarily meet and like talk to as much.
Yeah.
But something that Devin and I talked about the other day that she'll never say, but that bothers her, is when people that clearly know who she is, that have been around a lot and know who she is, act like they don't know who she is. So if you're one of those people,
I'll set a reminder for when.
don't
I'll
do
set a
that.
reminder for when Della goes to some events.
I think that stems from like being in a conversation with a bunch of people and feeling like I'm blatantly ignored or something.
It's also like
I
it's
don't
very
know.
high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
I loved like in high school when you would like see someone that you definitely seen before, or, like knew who they were, and be like, oh, I forgot that we met, or like I stared at you and made like direct eye contact with you at a party, which is like the most high school thing ever to do.
Yeah,
So
I don't, it's probably partial on my responsibility too because I should just say something. But
No, I mean, I'll say like
but you're out of your comfort zone in a community that you're really not like as
right. Yeah.
super into. Like, you're the one that's out of your comfort zone. The people that are in that community and in their comfort zone should be the ones that
I see. So you're
make it
talking
more
more like
welcoming
about
and more inviting.
players and like teammates and like those types of
Yeah.
people who are like there and they're like, right?
yeah,
I
that's
see.
me at like tournaments and
Yeah, totally.
nationals and
Right.
like parties and stuff like that. And
Totally.
maybe we haven't even like we've met directly once, but like I am making the assumption, which is partially my fault, but like I'm making the assumption that you know who I am. I'm around pretty frequently. Like,
Or at least that they recognize you and
Yeah.
whatnot, you know.
Exactly.
I think about that because I think there is I don't know if it's an obligation, but I've thought about my effect as like a teammate of people to try to make like significant others or parents feel welcome when they're at an event, you know, because I don't want like someone to be coming to watch one of our games like at a tournament and feel like they should be like uncomfortable around me when I'm like so close to their like partner or child. Like I try to, and that's,
Mm,
it's hard to like go up and like introduce yourself to people, and like especially just like maybe it's harder even like nowadays because
yeah.
we have less practice at that. But I do, and I could be better at it as well. But I try to make a point of like going up and saying hi and just like at least introducing myself and breaking down some barriers so that people are more comfortable watching our games. And because
Yeah.
it's also cool, like I love the fact that they're coming and watching. So you want to be.
I think that's one of like the special things about club frisbee and like being part of, like in most other sports when you're on the field and you're like at half or whatever it is, you don't really like talk to people and you don't have any sort of interaction with outside of like your team or your coach. And I know like from my side, being able to like go say, hey, good job, or hey, like, can I fill waters? Like that makes me feel like I'm part of it. Um, and it's like super
Yeah.
silly, but
This
it
this
I find
sorry,
enjoyment
go
in
ahead.
that. Maybe that's like my like eventual mom self coming out that like I want to be part of the team and bring the orange slices and like be like a team, just a team player in whatever I can, because I don't really get to be part of the actual sport, but being part of just like the weekend is like really cool for me and fun for me.
Yeah, I
And I
kind of
love
like
that
where
about
this is. I like where this the conversation's going here because um, there are a lot of people that I want to talk to. Actually, so my perspective or my so I'm a very shy person naturally, and I have this assumption that nobody remembers my name, and like so in the setting, like if you Devin and I saw each other at the airport, for instance, like we were flying to a tournament. At this point, I'd be like, "Hey, Devin, like, how's it going?" And we would talk and everything. But
Yeah.
there was probably a point in time where I'd be like, "Well, she probably doesn't really remember who I am, and I may not even have remembered your name at the time." And probably was like,
Yeah.
I know that she's Quinn's girlfriend." So like the same thing though happens with parents too. Like we get a lot of parents at games, which is awesome. But I don't always know their names, and then I don't always like, should I go introduce myself? And then like I'm also when we're at tournaments, I'm trying to be pretty focused on the games.
Yeah.
Um, I don't really know where I'm going with this, other than the fact that there are a lot of people that are part of the team that are not part of the team, especially like at games and tournaments.
Social interaction difficult.
Yeah, we're awkward people.
Some more than
Uh,
others, maybe. But yeah. No, I liked what you were saying, Devin, too, because I think it's we talk about this even like when people, you know, everyone on the team wants to have a role on the team because then you feel more a
yeah,
part of it and it's fun. And that's also kind of like the joy of like supporting a team. And the more you could feel like you're contributing or a part of the team is fulfilling. And that's why I think it's nice when we're able to like talk to other people, because I want us to all feel like a team and like we're all kind of you know, in it together and whatnot. And then it's way more fun. Then it's not like you're just watching a team, you're kind of more like a part of the team.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been like a super big sports person. Like, I've never been, I mean, like played sports, yes, and been active, yes, but like a Broncos fan or, like an Avs fan. It's always been like a tangential, oh, yeah, they're really cool. I'm supporting them. But I never had the idea of like, oh, I want to be part of this team. And I think like those diehard fans that are every single Broncos game are like doing everything that they can to be part of that team. I think that's my feeling towards the like Bravo and Summit and whatever. It's like it's such a huge part of my life without being a direct part of my life. And
yeah.
so I think that's my way of being part of the team without, actually obviously having any contribution besides the support of Quinn. Um, yeah.
What do you prefer attending or watching between Summit and Bravo? Which format?
Mm, I think Summit for normal games, but Bravo for like championship tournaments, you know? Like
Yeah, I think that's a
nationals,
good answer.
Bravo is super, super fun. But like sitting at Co-Cup all day, not necessarily my favorite thing in the
No.
world.
Yeah.
I'm there, but I don't really necessarily want to be there. Where like every single Summit game, I have a lot of fun and I enjoy being there and watching it. And like I think seeing the community of everybody at Summit is really cool because I don't necessarily get to see a huge part of that. Obviously, Bravo, everyone's at their different tournaments or like their different games around the fields, and it's all kind of fractured into the own teams. And Summit is that place that you can see like the full ultimate community all come together to see the games. And I think that's been really, really cool and super fun to see that like the community is so much bigger than I would have even thought about. So I think that's been
Same.
really
Yeah.
cool with the Summit.
Did you go to championship weekend last year for AUDL?
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. I mean, plus like I feel like our home games are better than the atmosphere of
Way better.
championship weekend in the AUDL.
Way better. Yeah, the games were so much more fun. I mean, yeah, we were at the semis game and there was no one there. It
Yeah.
was
So
really
props to
weird.
the owners.
Yeah, and like the Colorado Ultimate community being as big as it is, I didn't realize how large it was. And I feel like I hear about a new team or a team that I wasn't necessarily familiar with every time I talk to people. Like all the people in pickleball. I mean, I know most of them play for Love Tractor, and I know that, but I kind of didn't know how many people. I don't know. You know what I
In the
mean?
Frisbee world.
Yeah, there's
a
so
lot.
many people outside of just like the smaller Bravo Bird.
Yeah. Yeah. For those of you that are listening, Kins is not anti pickleball, but he's not a pickleball player.
I'm
But the three of us, the
jealous
other
of
three of us,
pickleball. I love playing it. I'm just jealous of it as a sport.
Quinn, Devin, and I though, and a group of Frisbee players we have a weekly game going on Sundays. It's a ton of fun, great cross training, great. It's really my sport of choice at this point because I don't really play Frisbee anymore. Quinn, were you about to say something?
No, I think it was funny because we had a mini camp for Frisbee and it was so windy that we couldn't even like play, and it fucking sucked so bad. And then we played pickleball the next day, and pickleball was like a million times more fun because Frisbee was just so shit that day, and it just like made me want to quit and play pickleball. But obviously, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, we played.
That's why
for
maybe
over
we
3
should
hours.
go indoors. Maybe we should.
Agreed.
Maybe we should.
All right.
Send a letter to the AUDL. Would that be harder or easier? Finding indoor places to play or stadiums?
Oh,
probably harder.
Harder.
I don't know.
I think it would be harder.
Obviously harder.
Because you have to have a place that can like house that many people. If you wanted to still be like the spectator friendly, I don't even know where indoor you would go. I mean,
I can't even think of a place in
there's nowhere
Colorado that's indoor that has stands.
Yeah, there's a million high school outdoor football fields.
It would be pretty sick though if we just like packed the sidelines of
one of those indoor.
That's like that's a cool
facility.
Environment, but obviously, it wouldn't work, but that would be cool.
But there's also that's like being at a club field, and it's just
which is sick.
It's fun for a little bit,
right.
and then it's
maybe you
not.
Can't see.
Yeah, I'm freaking 5'1", 5'2", and I can't see over somebody. I can see over children standing in front of me. So like sometimes it's enjoyable to be on the fields and stuff, but that's Summit. You get to watch everything, you get to see everything, and that's super fun.
There is something very special and intimate about playing a big game where just like there's just a line, a couple rows of people around you, like maybe a sitting group and then like a standing couple lines of just like your peers watching you. It is kind of like a special thing.
Yeah, like the pony sockeye semi
2021.
No, it's 2018, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know why, but I remember this game like so vividly just watching, and it was the one where Ben Yacht and Polk were matched up, I think. And Ben Yacht goes, "I toasted you." And then they went to the observers and stuff. Does anybody remember that?
No.
Nobody? Wow, dude. That was so iconic, I feel like. But that game was sick because it was just like such a intense, close semi, like probably the two best teams. in the semis, and it was just like sidelines with like probably 500 people on the sideline, and like nobody could see anything, and it was super sick.
I'll tell
But
you what was
obviously
sick.
not that
Summer
good.
League Finals, Philadelphia.
Oh
20 something, I forget when. But
You
those
do
are
get a ton of spectators at Summer
oh
League
dude, those
finals.
are so sick. There's like thousands of people there, like so, and it's all like the people in your little like all Philadelphia frisbee community. Like for me, when I was playing in it, it was like a bunch of my dad's like friends who had like I'd grown up with and stuff. So it was very fun. It is fun, but also like stadiums
Yeah.
are cool, I guess. Like I also like look at like a 60,000 person stadium, like when we play in like Portland, and think about wow, like imagine if this was full and
If
we
it
were
was
playing.
full.
That would be maybe that's like that. Maybe that's like a dream of mine. That would be so crazy.
Toner and I were literally talking about that exact thing last night because we were at the Avs game and we were watching, and it was like there was like 20,000 people in there, and we were like, could you imagine like when we get 2,000 people at the Summit game, we're like, oh my god, like this is so crazy. And then Toner and I were like, what if there was 20,000 people watching it? Like that'd be so sick.
It'd be really cool. It would be.
Yeah, I do agree that there's definitely there's a different vibe between the stadium side watching UDL and like a semis or quarters game that like everyone's sitting around, like the late afternoon quarter game at nationals that every person's sitting around, and like all the good teams, if you're out or not out, or maybe you're watching to see if you're going to play them in the semi, or maybe you're going to see like you're already knocked out and you have to go play your stupid 15th seed game or whatever it is, and you're just sitting there like watching everybody, and you can tell. I mean, I've sat there and like listened to other people talk about different people on the
that's so
team.
fun. Yeah.
And it's so interesting just to like see other people's perspective and like hear them all talk about different things and say like maybe like an offhand comment or like, damn, that was really cool. Or like just like getting the vibe from other people that I don't know at all. And I think that's really weird for me when I hear them talking about Quinn, because I'm like, oh, it's just Quinn. But then there's like some, random team that I've never heard of that's talking about Quinn and saying X, Y, and Z, and it's really strange for me.
Yeah.
You've never told me what they're saying about me. I want to know these things.
I don't know. I don't really have a specific example, but
Things are said.
like,
Do they think he sucks or do they think he's good?
No, it's probably like if Quinn makes a play, or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, that was really cool," but like it's weird hearing.
I know for
talk
sure.
about
I
it.
told Quinn about one time that somebody was talking shit about UKins.
Hey, that'll happen, man.
I was gonna
happen.
say I've heard that once or twice. I'm not gonna lie.
Haters are gonna hate. What are you gonna do? You can't worry about it.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed though, when the players become fans as they get eliminated, how they become the experts, and they're always
that's one
like,
of the worst
why?
things about frisbee too. Everyone knows what the people on the field should be doing, and I fall victim to it too. And I try to like not,
Oh yeah.
Meanwhile, like they're the
yeah.
They're the people that were eliminated early and weren't able to make it advance far enough, and they're criticizing the players that are playing in semis and finals.
Devin, make sure you like get a detailed description of who those people are talking shit, so I can spike it on them if we're ever playing against them in a game or something. Yeah. But yeah, it is fun too when you're like the game that goes to universe or something, so your game lasted longer than the other ones, and so the crowd starts to like trickle in as the game gets closer and closer. Like it's just, I don't know, it is funny. Like next thing you know, there's like a bunch of people there because your game got close. All the other games in the round are finished. Like there's funny stuff that does happen.
Yeah. Well, I just remember last year. I feel like maybe it was semis or maybe it was quarters. You guys were on that field last year that was right next to all those food stands. It was like one of the filmed fields, and I'm sort of like a superstitious person. Yeah. And I was sitting in the same place the entire game because I wouldn't move. Because as soon as I moved, I think you got broken or something, and so I went back to the same place. I don't know. It was a weird superstition thing. But I remember sitting there in the same place for the entirety of the game, and slowly more and more and more people were coming behind me and sitting there because I was like just sitting on the goal line on one side. And then I could see like all the people filtering into the outsides and on the sides behind you guys. And I just remember it being a weird thing because I was just sitting at the front, just awkwardly like listening to everything that was happening while I was also like freaking out internally. So
it's fun though. I love people watching and observing and listening is a favorite pastime of mine.
Yeah, we need a
Oh,
hot
yeah.
mic on the sidelines. We could
Oh
record
yeah,
some of
you
that.
can hear all the weird shit that people say. Yeah.
That is such a good idea. You should wear a mic on the sideline.
Oh,
Dude,
no, that is a really
and we
that
could
is a
go
really
back
good
through.
idea.
Maybe like a chest cam too that's hidden so we can see who's
But
saying
I don't
it.
want to hear all the mean things people are saying about me.
Yeah, it would hurt my feelings.
I do.
too.
No, I do.
You know,
Secretly,
we
I
should
do.
ask if we ever have Toner or Evan Lepler on, because sometimes they'll be going to commercial or like after finals, Lepler still had a hot mic, and he's like under his breath, you can hear him say, "Atkins, put a shirt on." Did you watch that ever?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember that.
You can hear
Before
him say-
before the game, or like maybe after the first point, you can hear their like predictions for the game, and I think Lepler's like 14-11 truck, and then Toner's like, I was gonna say 15-11 truck. It's pretty funny.
Toner, come on, man.
No, that's good commentating. He's removing his bias from the.
Yeah, true.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, Kins, help me direct this a little bit.
All right,
which
fine.
which
Because I
direction do we
thought
want
this
to
was
go?
going to be a marriage pod, and here we are sitting talking about ultimate. I
let's get
I
into
want to
it.
dig deep into relationships. I'm looking for relationship advice for myself. You know what I mean?
Me,
Like,
honestly, me too. I'm almost 40. I'm still single.
Okay. So there was a time in your relationship where you were separated by distance, correct? So what were some of the biggest struggles that you faced? Because I personally am also in a long distance relationship that is soon coming to an end, thankfully. But I'm curious to know like what some of the struggles were that you had experienced during that, and
To be
things
clear, the
you did to-
relationship isn't becoming to an end. The distance part.
No, yeah. I'm Kin's bomb. No, yeah, the distance part. But yeah, so what were your thoughts about long distance, and was it hard? Was it beneficial in some ways? Pros and cons? Like, how did you get through it and those types of things?
Do you want me to go?
Yeah,
Okay.
Devin. I'll ask.
He's asking you. Yeah,
No,
he's asking
Quinn.
you.
I want to hear your thoughts too, and I need to, I'll preface who I'm asking it for next time. But Devin, why don't you start?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty fucking terrible, honestly. It wasn't super ideal. I mean, I think it was like good for us because I think if I wouldn't have gone away, it would have been a decision because of us. And like I would have always been like, oh, what if I went to Kentucky, and like what if I got that experience? And I think it probably would have been super detrimental in the long run because I would have been making a decision that wasn't like Quinn told me that I should make a decision that was really good for me, even though I didn't necessarily want to make that decision at the time. Like I visited CSU, and I mean, I wasn't good enough to run at CU, but I think it would have been a lot of what ifs if I didn't go away. So I think on that side, it was really good for us. Obviously, I think
Experience that, yeah.
yeah, it was good for us to go away. I mean, we broke up after my freshman semester for a couple months, and then ended up getting back together sort of at like the end of that school year. It was also kind of weird because Quinn was still in high school and I was in college. So that adds like a whole element of things that's different.
Yeah.
Because he was still like at home and I was obviously like in college doing college things. And I think the other thing that I didn't really anticipate being so difficult was just like the time difference. It's only 2 hours, but like I woke up, it was 8 a.m. for my time, and I had like morning practice sometimes, and I'd be up at 6, and that was 4 a.m. for Quinn, and when I had to go to bed, if it was like 12 o'clock for him, it was 2 a.m. for me. So I think that the time difference made a lot more of an impact than I anticipated it to at the time. I think once we had an end date and I decided to like move back to Colorado, that helped a ton because I think that the idea of like 2 more years of being distance, I don't know. like just neither of us were like mentally or emotionally prepared to do another 2 years of that. So it was stressful and not necessarily the greatest. Like, oh, when can you FaceTime? And I think also like I had a super, super, super busy schedule with everything that I was doing, class and running and trying to give time to like hang out with friends. And then he also had a busy time because he was still playing hockey and trying to decide if he was going to keep going with hockey or if he was going to stop that. And I think there was just like a lot of life changes within those 2 years. I think it definitely like impacted us
Yeah.
long term, but being back together was the best for us. I don't know if you have anything else to add on that, Quinn, or if you have any questions on that.
Yeah, Quinn. Actually, what was your perspective that time? I do have some follow-up questions for you though afterwards.
I think it also made it hard because we were both in, I guess, formidable years of our life. Like I was 17, 18. I was kind of I was a massive douchebag. I was such a douche.
Same.
I broke up with her the day before Valentine's Day, by the way.
Yeah.
Saves you a gift, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, it was also just like the timing of it wasn't, obviously I think it was good in the long run. I think she's right about that, but the timing of it wasn't super ideal for like where we were in our lives. So yeah, it was hard, but I think just like always, communication is always key, and we eventually made it through, and I think we're better for it. Not 8 years, 6 years later, 5 years later.
How often did you guys talk when you were at a distance, Devin?
We like texted all day.
But how, like, did you have like a phone call once a day, like that kind of thing?
We like generally FaceTimed once a day.
Yeah.
Well, but like something that we bond over too is like TV and movies and stuff. And we used to watch movies and TV over FaceTime and stuff like that. And that was helpful.
Press play simultaneously.
We would have to sync it up exactly.
That's funny. Exactly, I've thought about doing that. And like now there's like share play on Spotify, so you can.
There wasn't share play then.
Yeah, because you could like listen to a podcast together. Like I've thought about doing that. It's a good idea.
Oh yeah, we used to do that like multiple times a week, probably.
Yeah.
Now they have a feature. I think like I want to say Disney. Is it Disney Plus? They have like a family feature, and you can like.
Well, even like on Netflix now, you can do a group view, and it's like a group video that you can view it together. They've made it so much easier. We used to like be like 3, 2, 1, press play, and then we'd say like pause, 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 and then we'd talk about something and play it again. And that's true. I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah. That's cute. Quinn, my follow-up question about maybe this isn't a distance thing, but have you ever thought about this? Do you think you could have become the player that you have without such a supportive partner? Like, would your life have been imbalanced in a different way? And I don't know if there's any way to know this. Like, would you be out there looking for a nice lady friend to take home if you didn't have Devin in your life?
Interesting. I've never thought about this. I bet there's a chance I would have tried to play hockey in college. And so, no, I probably wouldn't be. I might not even be playing Frisbee right now, to be honest. And I think it does. I think it, in general, like, apart from like that fact, like not having to really worry about the like trying to find a partner and like the dating scene as much probably did help me focus on just being a Frisbee player and not having to worry about all that was probably did help a lot. But I would have to give it more thought to give you a better answer because I've really never thought about
Definitely simplifies everything a little bit.
Yeah, that's
It takes away a big. I feel like so much of my life was oriented on like girls before I had a girlfriend. think that makes
well,
sense.
fast
Right?
forward 15
Maybe that's
years,
just
and
me.
I'm still trying to balance that. I'm trying to find a lady while coaching 3 teams and playing.
And working
In
3
on
jobs.
Racers now.
Maybe
Yeah.
after marriage podcast, we'll have like a Mikey
Speed dating
relationship podcast. No, I don't want to do the speed dating podcast, but we just like talk about it, I think. But I don't know if I want to do that. I don't think I want to be a part of the speed dating podcast.
But also talking about it more now that we're talking about it, like it's kind of goes both ways, but it was kind of a tough love situation from me to Devyn be like, look, like I'm going to everything. Like I'm playing Frisbee all the time and I'm working out all the time and I'm going to everything. And that was like hard for Devyn at first. But like it was something that she accepted and something that now she supports. And if it wasn't something that she supported, I probably wouldn't be the player I am today. From that viewpoint.
Yeah, what a tough combo. Devyn, what feelings does that surface when you hear him say that? Like, because
well, I mean, I think that it like still, it's not, that conversation isn't over still.
yeah, like it's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like there's still
the only thing we fight about.
Yeah, there's still just like a lot of it that's just like it's hard for somebody who isn't like as ingrained in it, like to not get annoyed with the amount of time that it takes up sometimes. I think
And
now
he's
it's
doing
like
a podcast.
yeah, that was an argument too. Don't worry.
Sorry, Quinn.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think
Sorry, Devyn. Actually,
sorry, Devyn.
Yeah.
Sorry, Devyn and Quinn.
Sorry, Quinn.
Well, I'm like, your plate is already full, dude. What the fuck? Like, you already have so much you're doing, and now you're gonna do this other thing. I'm like, you gotta leave space for me to be in this whole life. I think that now what's changed after that, like, conversation over multiple conversations is now I've just been like, fine, go do it, whatever. There's not really an argument about it, but maybe I'm just annoyed at the situation. And I would say I get more annoyed than anything when Quinn goes and does practice and then he hangs out for an hour after practice and I'm waiting for him at home to like
But
have
here we
dinner
go.
or something. So
I would sit and talk about Frisbee after practice for hours, every single practice because I can't stop for whatever fucking reason. But now, I said this in the last podcast, now that we have this, I don't do that. I don't foresee myself doing that because we talk about Frisbee on the podcast for 3 hours every time we do
Balance. Everything.
Yeah.
all right, you're welcome, Devyn.
Yeah.
you're
So
welcome.
that's good. I mean, I'd say it's still like I like to think that I'm the most supportive partner that I could be. But Quinn likes to sometimes remind me that I get really angry about when he's gone all the time and he says he's going to be home, which is my type A personality coming out. That's like, when are you going to be home? What time's dinner? What are we doing? Are you going to be home for dinner? What's going on tomorrow? And Quinn's like, oh, I don't know. Do I have practice? I don't know. Tell me if I have practice. And I'm like,
tell me if I have practice.
Last week,
ever said
literally
that.
last week, you said, do I have practice today? That's why it came up. On Tuesday last week, you said, did I tell you I have practice today? Okay, that's different. You're right. That's different.
That is different.
But you're not planning
that
ahead, Quinn,
that's kind of my fault because I decided
Well,
to
the thing
add
is
that practice.
I like have a calendar for when he's gone, and then I'm like, oh yeah, Quinn, you're gone next week. And he's like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm gone in 3 days. I'm like, dude, I don't understand how you're not thinking about this farther ahead. This tournament has been played out for 6 months. And he's like, oh yeah, that's right. I am going somewhere this weekend.
So I have a couple thoughts. First one is I hope that it, because I love the two of you together and I want it to continue to succeed. So first thought is I hope that it does. You are able to. It doesn't turn into resentfulness. The second thought is actually maybe I forget if this was my thought. But my previous relationship basically ended because of this very reason. I was too committed and spread thin across multiple teams, and I'm not an organized person. It probably seems like I'm organized to a lot of people because I'm touching a lot of things, but I'm not actually. I lose track of everything. So I think this is me again saying, Quinn,
Be better.
continue to realize how appreciative you should be of having such a supportive partner.
It is a tale as old as time. The frisbee,
yeah, truly,
especially because it's not like, it'd be different if we were like making a living.
If I was making millions of dollars, and, just we could do whatever we wanted and she'd have to work and stuff, it'd be a different story. But instead, I'm paying thousands of dollars to do this.
I do think like that's another like reason why we probably meshed really well together, because I just am generally a really organized person that keeps everything like put together and organized, and like, like down to like when Quinn goes to trips, like I get the parking for his car when he goes, and like I make sure that he's getting flights that make sense and remind him that he needs to do I don't know, like some people might say I'm like being his mom in some ways, but
don't make me seem like such a baby.
Well, you are a little baby.
Stuff. I don't know. Like
clearly,
I think
Devin is the infrastructure.
Continue to be thankful, Quinn.
Devin is the infrastructure behind the Quinn wall that appears.
I just like built. I take because I'm a pre-planner and because I get like anxious about not having things like organized and understand and like know when things are happening for me so that I know when he's gone. Like if I didn't know he had a tournament and then like a day later he's like, oh yeah, I'm leaving for a tournament tomorrow, like that would send me into a freaking spiral. I'd be like, why didn't you tell me this? I didn't have this planned. Like that would just be like, that wouldn't work for me. So we have to have some structure. I think I help Quinn have some structure, and he helps me try to be more relaxed in a lot of situations. Like Quinn's my affirmation when I'm going through like a whole, like I'm stressed about this, I'm thinking about this, like I don't understand. I mean, the wedding's like the perfect example, right? Like I'm super stressed about something and the fucking candles don't work and I have to find a new candle thing. And Quinn's like, it doesn't matter. Take a breath. We'll figure something out. It's not that big of a deal. Like I couldn't have a partner that's like me that gets equally as stressed about everything as I do. Like I have to have some.
I think I just figured out why you need to give yourself more credit, because it's either you're more laid back than you think you are, or Quinn, you must have some angelic voice or angelic way of saying these things, because I can picture myself being like, it doesn't matter if the candles don't work, and my former partner just ripping into me like.
It is a nice balance.
Like, you need to care about what I care about.
And it's nice that you level.
But it's about like small things. Well, yeah, like the bigger things he's good at like talking through with me and figuring it out, whatever. But like the small things, he makes me realize, because I get in a spiral in my head, and then he's like, hey, it's not that big of a deal. This is like, okay, we'll figure something out. Like brings me back to this, like, it'll be fine.
Yeah, you kind of like zoom out a little bit of like everything. Like, if the candles don't work, at least we're still living, and I don't know, that's kind of things.
But also, I feel like, Mikey, what you said is like still kind of true. Like
angelic voice.
Like the candles, but if the candles don't work, like I say that, and then I'm all of a sudden now the backboard, and she like throws the frustration off me for a second, and then it's all better. So maybe I'm just like a good backboard or something.
Right, you like absorb, because that does happen a lot in relationships.
Punching bag.
When like
Punching
it's like
bag.
with family and stuff too. Like you take the frustration out, because you're not going to take it out on like a random person. So you focus that frustration on someone who you're comfortable with, and
you can handle it.
100%.
And as long as you're like aware of that, I think that's totally normal, in relationships.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean that's yeah. Quinn gets my my frustration and stress more than anyone else, for sure.
All right, Kins, do you want to continue leading us a little bit here, and maybe we'll segue or try to finish with some of Devin's takes on Frisbee players and Frisbee in general?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Another like overall relationship question I have is like, I think one of the things I think about the most is balancing like a good, healthy relationship, but also the two passions of an individual. You know, like you have to, like, people are in the relationship are going to want to do separate things that will like fulfill them. And you have to balance, you know, maybe like one person wants to travel the world and the other person wants to like, I don't know, not travel the world and do something else, something like that. I don't know. So how do you balance like, you know, being in a relationship and also pursuing your passions?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like, we've talked about it a little because Devin is very supportive of Quinn pursuing his ultimate passion. And so I wonder, like, I guess maybe this is a question for Devin. Like, Devin, like, what are some things you're very passionate about, and how do you balance, you know, that and the relationship? Because we're talking a lot about Quinn, right? Like, I want to get to know more about like what Devin is passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Um,
Deep question. What
I'm
fulfills
just
you?
well. I mean, I think that like I don't know. It like makes me kind of feel like I don't. I'm not like super. I'm not super passionate about like I don't know. I don't have like a hobby that I do a lot. Like I don't.
We play pickleball now.
Yeah, we play pickleball now. But like I would say, I guess I know. I think I like meld a lot into things that like we can do together. Like I think that's why like probably the frisbee thing works really well. I mean, I don't really have like a ton of things that I do. It makes me sound like such a lame person, but
Also
um,
like
No,
then
I
like
know.
a healthy relationship and like that makes you very happy, you know, like that can also be like, I think a lot of people would probably relate to that like having a healthy and functional relationship would be very fulfilling in life, you know. I think
yeah. I
even
mean, I think
that
that's
alone is good for a lot of people.
yeah. I mean, I think like outside of like I don't know, like probably honestly my biggest passion is freaking TV. Like I watch a shitload of TV. I really like watching TV. I just watch way too much of it. Like when Quinn's a frisbee, I am watching some new TV show or movie or
What
whatever it
kind of
is.
like what TV shows are you into currently?
I watch a lot of bad reality TV.
Like what? Like which ones?
Like Love is Blind and Married at First Sight and 90 Day Fiance and just like a lot of
Oh
really
God.
bad TV.
But you save the good ones to watch
Yeah,
together. That's
yeah.
why you're watching.
We watch all like the good shows,
Yeah,
together.
You
like
can't be
we're
watching
like
90 Day Fiance now. That I don't know what it's about, but I'm assuming it's about things that we're
It's actually
avoiding right
more.
now.
It's people who've been together a while and then
Oh,
they're getting a
okay.
green card to come to the
Oh.
United States and they have to get married within 90 days, otherwise they lose their green card.
Oh wow, I
Um,
totally took that in a different direction of where I
yeah,
thought it
it's the
was.
visa. It's like they have a visa and
Yeah,
like be able to get they have to get married within 90 days or go back to their home country.
yeah.
Uh,
but like we're also like 800 episodes into Naruto,
Yeah.
or like, you know, watching Ted Lasso or Barry or Last of Us. Like she's watching the good shows with me, which is great.
yeah. I just like
Um,
I get a kick out of like I don't know. I get in like weird cycles of like where I'm like watching TV a lot and then like all like last year I ran Chicago Marathon, so like that took some time and I was like training for that. And then like next year I'm hopefully gonna run Boston and like that'll be part of it. And
yeah, we've talked
like I
about
was really
that.
into Orange Theory for a while. And
Orange Theory is fun. I
So,
like
so what
Orange
comes to
Theory a
mind
lot.
for me is like the relationship dynamic. That so like there's two things. One, the first thing is maybe to almost phrase Kins's question a little bit differently. Being like the ability to just live independently, but also I don't know if codependently is the right word, but you know, share a life, but understand that people need to have their alone time or their own individual hobbies, passions, or just time by themselves. And another thing comes to mind I forget which. It might have been a podcast I was listening to, some relationship doctor or like some sex doctor. I know I think it was like some Estelle's coming to, I don't know why the name Estelle. It's some like old lady. And what she was talking about is like in
Is it
modern day
Esther
society.
Perez?
That's probably what it is. It's probably
Yeah.
Esther Perez.
Yeah.
She was saying that what we ask of our partners in modern society is so much different than the majority of human history, because like like even 100 years ago, but you go back even further, like communities were more tight knit. There was always like a town center too, and like generally it wasn't one parent or two parents who are raising their family. Like it still is like mostly that familial unit, but you kind of branch out into the community a little bit more. And before, like your partner did not have to be, your intellectual equal, your best friend, share all the same philosophies and thoughts, etc. Like you didn't have to be, they didn't have to fulfill all of these roles in your life. And now we do expect that one person to do that, which makes it puts a lot of pressure on one person. I don't know if I don't really have a point other than
I'm
that.
confused. I've lost you there, Mikey.
You have?
So in the past, like what? Like I have no idea what the difference is. That we were
My
making.
point. Okay, so
Societal role different.
Yeah. So
I definitely get that things are different. Like that part.
Oh, okay. I'll try to circle it back then.
What are the differences that we're talking about?
It's just that like finding balance, like finding someone who can be supportive of your individuality, or like not have to do everything together, is actually pretty rare, and is what I'm trying to bring attention to it again, because it's a really cool thing in my opinion. And like the reason why I was talking about what relationships used to be like is because you could have a quote unquote successful relationship in the past because like the criteria for that was so much different.
Right.
So finding someone like the two of you have found each other is even more rare today.
Yeah,
Follow
I don't
me,
know.
Kins?
I think just like
I got you there.
we just like spending a lot of time together. I think generally we find each other really like enjoyable. So that's good.
That is really good.
That's good. You know, I don't know. I think like kind of what you're saying, Mikey, like I think it's just now it's a lot different. I mean, even like my parents and like my grandma, like I go off on like work trips and then Quinn goes off on frisbee trips, and like we spend a lot of time apart during like most of the frisbee season. And especially like now I'm traveling a lot more for work than I ever have since like in our relationship. And that's kind of like a new dynamic trying to figure it out. But like in my grandma doesn't understand the idea that like we could all be doing different things and still be together. And I think like finding the quality time, like that's the most important thing to me, is like when we hang out and we spend that time, like talking about the podcast and like Quinn doing the podcast. I'm like, I need space. I need to make sure that there's space for me to still have like quality time with you outside of with all of our friends. Cause I know he is definitely, I am too, like go out and hang out with friends, people. He's even more that way. So I think finding space for us to spend quality time together, which is generally watching TV after work or after we get back from hanging out with friends, like that's our version of quality time spent together, even though there's so many different things going on and we're in so many different places and there's just like a lot of different things happening all at the same time.
Yeah. That decompress relaxation time.
And it's not like having a conversation or talking really deep about something. It's laying in bed and watching Naruto for hours. Like that's our version of quality time
Just be
together.
Comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, we've had conversations with like other couples that are like, yeah, we talk about feelings a lot and we talk about like, the way that our emotions are expressed all the time and how, you know, I'm thinking about something and like that's not us. That would emotionally drain both of us way more than anything. Like having a super deep conversation 24/7 is not our version of having quality time together.
Yeah, there's
At all.
different love languages
Yeah.
and how people express and receive love. Hey, Devin, would you ever play frisbee? Like even in like a summer league type thing? Is that like that? That just came to my mind. Like, is there any?
I played a
Is
summer. I
there
played
any
a summer league
interest?
once with Quinn.
How was that? Did you enjoy it?
I mean, it was fun. Yeah, I don't know. We
How was
it was
Quinn
fun.
as a teammate?
Well, it was summer league, so it was like
Summer league.
summer league, and it was like after high school. Quinn had played like YCC and stuff, but it was
It was after freshman year of
freshman year of
college.
college. Okay, I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it was the summer after freshman year of college. Yeah, we played in the same league as Ben Lurie and Rebecca Miller too.
Oh, nice.
Honestly, that's one of my dreams is to
we-
bring the thriving Philadelphia leagues to Colorado and build that kind of community because they're
That
fun.
would be cool. But I will say, Devin and I have talked about like what it would take to get her to the level of an elite.
Frisbee
Club
player.
Like
player.
mixed. Like if you were gonna play
Yeah.
mixed on the same team.
Well, yeah, I mean, athleticism is definitely not an issue.
We didn't even talk about mixed. We talked about like her playing like what it would take to like get her to the level to play for like Molly Brown or like one of the top women's club teams.
Devin, do
which
you
is
want to
super
try? I can help.
I
We are
think
here to
could do
help.
it in maybe 2 years. I think if we dedicated it 2 years, I think
Well,
we could do
this
it.
goes back to one of the things that Quinn and I constantly talk about. That's like, I like
don't
to
need to
think
do
I'm
that.
a pretty like athletic person. Like, I
Oh,
think for the
clearly.
most part, I'm pretty like pickleball. Like, I'm getting better and better every day. Like, it's pickleball, but you know, like
Well, honestly, though, if for anyone who's listening and thinks that's trivial, like Devin immediately is one of, I don't know, the 5 or so best players who's been coming out, and there's like 15 of us. It's actually been more impressive than it might sound.
Yeah, like I think a lot of people don't just go and play a new sport and be like, oh, it's just pickleball. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
struggle with that mightily.
Yeah. We just talked. It was like this summer or something we were throwing, and I have been getting better and better at throwing the disc. Better
That'd
and
be a
better
fun
relatively. But I've been getting better, and then it just like came through the crossing mind of like, maybe I would try to play frisbee. But
Yeah.
then I thought about like the logistics and the community a little bit that I don't necessarily. It's not that I don't mesh well. I just don't feel like a part of like the women's frisbee community as much.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
it would be really hard for me to even try to, it would be really uncomfortable for me to even try to become part of that community as much.
Especially because like it would be like they all would think of you as like, yeah, like
Exactly.
they would be like you coming in and they would have like all these preconceived notions about
knows?
it.
Yeah, not that it's anywhere close to related, like of a like pro basketball player's son coming in and playing or something like that, but like sort of. I'm not.
You're my son.
Yeah,
now.
I guess so. But I'm saying that
Brownie-
there's like a
Brownie Miller.
predetermined relationship that's already exists in
Yeah.
that whole community, and if I did try, it would be really weird and strange, and I'd be like,
It might be less
bandwagoning
weird than
on
you think,
something.
honestly. Like,
Right, because
I-
from an opposite perspective, like it gives you even more of a like an in, you know, than most people probably who are trying to start from like a cold.
maybe not. I mean, I would say most people in Colorado Ultimate still do not know who I am, because I do coach 3 teams, but it's basically the same group of people, and I don't really branch out of it. I even just this weekend at pickleball, I had met this guy Spencer before who was there, and he had no recollection of ever meeting me. He had no idea who I was.
Your biggest
So-
fear coming to life.
Yeah. Validate me, please.
I don't know. It did. It was a fleeting thought earlier this summer that we talked
That would be a
about.
fun project, though. There's this YouTube video of this guy. You know what I'm talking about? He is like table tennis. Is this what you're thinking of?
Yeah, I have seen that.
He
Yeah.
plays table tennis every single day for a year, and there's like this sweet
Yeah.
montage of it. It's like it's not that long of a video, and he gets really fucking good in that 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I just have a
That's why I
desire
think-
to be like competitive at something, and if I'm not good at that thing, there's a 0% chance I'm going to continue doing it. And so that's been a big thing with the frisbee conversation. Like I get
Overcoming
really frustrated, and if I'm not
first
good at
step.
something, I do not want to do it because I'm just super like we told you, Mikey, during pickleball. Like Quinn and I don't make very good teammates when we're playing a sport because we're both incredibly competitive.
We're getting better. We're getting better.
Yeah,
We played well together this weekend in pickleball.
yeah, we're getting better, but I would say we're not the greatest teammates when it comes to sports.
Correct.
Like we play spike ball with our friends in the park and we get really pissed at each other. Quinn gets pissed at me because I missed something because we're just like super hyper competitive people.
um,
I don't know.
I'm gonna shift gears. Hopefully I'm not interrupting or spoiling any vows here, but I not in a bad way, but I maybe want to ask some cringy questions here. Like
Oy.
Quinn, what is your favorite thing about Devyn?
What do you admire about Devyn?
Well, probably work ethic, I would say. I think she's a very, very hard worker and stuff that she cares about and stuff that she wants to do. And regardless if it's something that she wants to do, she still works really hard at it. Like if it's like a shitty work thing, like she's very good at her job and she works really hard at it, regardless if it's something she wants to do. So that's something that's really hard to do. Like it's easy to do the stuff that you like to do all the time, but it's hard to work hard at things that you don't like to do. And I think she's really good at that. And that's pretty
The dedication.
admirable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Devyn, your turn.
Just say like Quinn's ability to be like. It's funny because it's like weird because frisbee stuff maybe it doesn't necessarily like correlate to that because he's not super. I don't know. He's like really just like patient in general. I think that like he gives a lot of grace in moments that maybe don't necessarily like deserve grace and patience with me when I'm like really frustrated or like in a mood or whatever. Like, yeah, I think his like comment about being a backboard for me is like I don't love that I'm that way, but I think that like it's obviously something that like I love about him a lot that he can just like kind of take my stress and not let it necessarily like affect him and kind of just like take some of that burden and like be patient with me when like I can't see clearly at some things or I can't see clearly in certain times. And I think that like
Yeah, we all need that, right? We all need to be able to vent a little bit in a safe space.
Seriously, yeah. But you think he's not like that in Ultimate? Is that what you were getting at your beginning comment?
Yeah. Well, I don't think so.
I'm far less patient with
me
with frisbee players. Far.
Well, yeah.
less
If
patient.
somebody's like upset about something, Quinn's like, whatever. Like, I don't like get over it. And like to me, like that's not how he is at all. So I think, I mean, that's just like our conversations about situations that he's in frisbee. He doesn't seem as patient. Obviously, I don't really like see it as much, but I guess that's maybe like a perception. Like in our relationship, he's super like patient and relaxed in a lot of situations.
Do you have a favorite memory together?
I feel like I just have like one memory. I don't like that just like consistently comes to mind. That's like not really a memory. I guess it's more of just like a time and a place. I remember when we were in like high school and we were like sitting at City Park in a hammock and just like hanging out and like I don't know, just like enjoying being together. And I think that's like the first time. It's like so fucking cheesy, but it's
No,
like the
it's
first
not.
time, the first time that I felt that like I had somebody that was like not really a family member, like not really a friend, but like somebody in a different way. And
No,
I
I
think
think
that,
that makes a lot of sense. Like that first kind of moment you were like falling in love, sort
Yeah.
of, you know?
yeah, yeah. I think it was just like, oh shit, like this person is actually like there for me in a very different way than like anybody has ever been there for me in my life. And I just remember we were like sitting on a hill in a hammock and it was dark and we were looking at the stars at City Park. It was kind of a cheesy like high school date, but it was like, I don't know, I think about that time
No, I'm
a
I'm
lot.
getting my heart's
Yeah,
beating now.
because it's different because you never like feel that way about someone before, and it's like a connection that you don't share with many people. So it's very special when you do start to feel that. No, I think that makes a lot of sense, and that's a good memory that you pulled up, Devin.
Yeah. Yeah. City Park down here in Denver or up in Fort Collins?
In Fort
There's one in Fort
Collins.
Collins.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I was thinking about when you were talking about the last one was that, like Quinn, this is kind of for you, but like, how many things
Wait,
do you
wait, wait,
take
wait,
from
wait, wait.
what?
Hold on. Does Quinn have a favorite memory?
Mine's not quite as good. I would say that just the first thing that comes to mind is after we won nationals. Of course, it's related to frisbee, but that's just like the first thing that comes to mind. It's probably not,
I have photos
but
of
like,
this.
it's
I
my
send those
background
to
on
you?
my phone.
I did send it to them. Oh yeah.
Like this moment right here. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
Kind of.
clip it in. I'll
Um,
clip it in.
Yeah, you clip it. But that moment was just like after we won, like I was like the emotions were so
So
crazy.
crazy.
Like I was just like happy and like just like laughing. Like you got to clip that picture of Ben in. Like that's
Yeah.
exactly like his face is exactly how I felt. But then like minutes later when Devin came down and like I just like I started just bawling and like I don't. Devin's probably seen me cry like 3, maybe 4 times, and like that, like in the 9 years we've been together, and that I just like it was just such a crazy emotional
Yeah.
like
I've never
release
seen
almost,
him
and
cry
that
like that. That was like a
just
new version
Did
of
it?
crying for sure.
so that like just like sharing that together was just like it's so vivid in my mind, and I don't think it'll ever not be. So that's like the
Yeah.
memory that pops into my head, like when someone asks
Yeah, and
that.
I imagine it was like because I remember after I felt like so grateful for so many different people that played a part in it. So then I feel like when you see Devin in that moment, it's like all this like all the things that because you're feeling so strongly emotional in that moment that like it comes to the
Exactly.
surface and you're like wow, like, I'm just so appreciative of you and those kind of things.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
crazy.
it is.
Um,
I felt like I was on drugs, like straight up. I told myself after I was like, I don't think I'm gonna do drugs, like intense drugs. Like I was like sitting there on the sidewalk after we won. Like I don't think I'm gonna do intense drugs after this because I just want to feel like this from like this kind of event happening because it was the emotions, the overwhelming feeling of emotion was bliss.
Devin, what do you remember about that moment? Actually, I should ask this to both of you. What do you remember from each other's the memories you shared?
From like the nationals memory, my biggest memory is like standing on the side and like you guys and like Molly were all like freaking out and I was just like I want to go hug Quinn so badly, like, and I just remember like sitting there being like, can I go, can I go, can I go, like I don't want to like I don't want to like
Disruptive.
disrupt this moment, but like I'm also so excited to see him. And like I was crying and I was like standing with Marin and we were both just like, I don't know, I just want to go. And then I kind of at one point was just like, fuck it, I'm going out there. I don't really know if I'm gonna be part of this moment, like mess up this moment between you guys and stuff. But like I just remember thinking like, holy shit, like I understand now why this means so much to Quinn. And like it obviously meant a lot to me too, but he doesn't express emotions. Like he said, he doesn't express like crying ever. and like how much that meant to him to win was so blatantly obvious. And I think it made it feel like all of the hard talk of him being like, "Hey, I'm
Yeah.
doing this, and either get with it or don't," like made it more worth it in the moment.
Yeah.
So
Thank
I
God
think
we
that-
won then. Jesus. Otherwise, we still.
yeah, who knew if the wedding would happen? You know, if you guys didn't win.
I actually have mine. Sort of a sad. I don't know how to describe it, but I actually I had a thought in that moment too, because I was recently single at that time. Well, not too recently, months. But I actually had the thought of like, I'm bummed that I can't share this with the person who made a ton of sacrifices for me to be able to do all these things. So I in a way, I'm glad that both of you were able to share that moment together. Quinn,
Wow.
do you have any memories of that night in City Park?
Yeah, the sprinklers went off on us.
Oh yeah,
and that's like
no problem.
what I remember.
Yeah.
That's like what I remember from it. That's like basically what I remember from it. Like that was the most, like, just that's what I remember from it. I don't know why, but it was like a stupid romantic movie.
Yeah, it is.
And the
Yeah,
It was
For some
nice.
reason, I'm thinking
it's like a
Romantic movie.
rom-com. Yeah.
I've been thinking of like La La Land. If you've ever watched that one, with,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah. It is like a weird high school rom-com sitting in City Park in a hammock looking at the stars with the sprinklers going off. Yeah.
All right. So we didn't give you a ton of time to really prep any Frisbee takes here, but Kins, what do you think this is a good time to kind of?
Yes, but I wanted to ask my
over
question for Quinn of.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What
Go
things have you taken from trying to be a good teammate in Ultimate into your relationship? Because I actually realized that a lot of things are applicable from like me working well with other people. I mean, that's obvious, but like even after nationals, like I had done so much work to try to be a better teammate.
Wait, can I say something?
Yeah.
I told Quinn this after I think like maybe it was even Coco. I don't know. Della was at one of the tournaments like last summer.
Yeah, maybe the Colorado one. Maybe
one of the tournaments.
It had to have been Coco.
Maybe it was Coco. I don't know which one it was. But anyways, I distinctly remember leaving and being
nationals. Okay, it's college nationals.
Oh, maybe it was I don't know. I remember distinctly leaving and being like, Quinn, I think that like Kins has grown up a lot because of Della. Like, I think that like
I do.
Yeah, I was like, I think that like Kins is figuring out how to control his emotions more because he has a girlfriend and he has to like do that in his personal life now. And whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I think like I just remember her being there, and I remember thinking that you were like a lot more calm than I had seen you in the past.
There were probably a lot of factors there. There were probably a lot of things going into that. Probably like
I'm sure that there was. I just remember like I told Quinn that I was like, I think Kins is growing up because he has a partner and he like has to like figure out how to do things. Whether that's true or not, that was just my
it's definitely true. And I think there's a lot of things that go into it. Like one, I definitely wasn't going to be doing some incredibly terrible things like while Dallas. Like, that's probably a big part of it.
That's what I told Quinn.
That's what she said. That's literally
I
what
was
she
like,
said,
he doesn't want to say something really rude and mean, and then Della hear it and then think something about him.
And I think she balances me off as like she's like very kind and emotionally thoughtful and empathetic, and so you learn a lot from that. Those kind of people.
Sorry, I just had to say that before we got into that question because I just remember telling Quinn that after one of the tournaments. I don't remember which one specifically, but I remember specifically being like, I feel like Kins is like growing up a little, you know?
Chill, Kins.
Yeah.
It was college nationals.
It reminds me of the question we had for Quinn earlier but like, how does your partner affect your ability, or like, can your partner make you a better Frisbee player? And you know, I think having a good relationship it does make you a more balanced person in general.
And because like I do look at Dell as like my teammate a lot. Just like I think it's a different sport because it's like the sport of
Yeah,
life.
It's all sport,
But
the game of life.
But in a lot of ways, like all the stuff that I try to use to be a better teammate, I feel like is very applicable to being a better partner for Della. So I wonder if you have any thoughts on that, Quinn. Any epiphanies you've had while playing?
Yeah, so I think two things. First, I thought about what Liam said on the podcast a couple episodes ago, where he was like, God, I can't remember the exact line, but he said that you give people feedback because you care.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
And that was like a really good one. And that's kind of what I thought about. But mostly it's like I think I am more receptive to feedback and more willing to give feedback
and compromise.
because and compromise and like talk about things and accept feedback and give feedback like I said, but it's just much easier for me to conceptualize in Frisbee now because of our relationship, I would say. But it's also hard to say just because I am kind of different people inside and outside of Frisbee. For better or for worse. Who knows?
I think it makes a lot of sense. I think
Yeah.
a lot of us are.
We
don't do a
about-
lot of stuff like I do on the Frisbee field that like
I am not I am not like an intense person outside of Frisbee about literally anything pretty much. But like in Frisbee, I'm like in a very intense person, and that's just it. I think that maybe is a product of the relationship or maybe not, but it's hard to say like where those overlap and where they don't.
Well, the other thing too, like Frisbee, we've talked about this in the past that like Frisbee, if he didn't have Frisbee, like that emotional, like angry, frustrated side didn't come out in Frisbee, I think it would show up more in our relationship. I think that Frisbee is an outlet for like that emotion. We've said that before of like,
yeah, but when you say it like that, it makes me sound like I'm like I would be like abusive or something.
no, I'm just saying that you would have like a shorter, you would have like
Fuse.
a
Yeah,
shorter
sure.
fuse
Yes.
with me if you didn't have Frisbee,
Yeah.
right? Like you
Fair
wouldn't
enough.
be maybe you wouldn't be nearly as patient. I don't know, because the whole time of our life you've played sports that we've had together. But I think that's like an outlet. You've always been kind of a different person in sports because I think that that's your way to get out your like frustration or like your like, I'm not going to say temper, but like the angry, like the frustrated side of you goes out in the Frisbee side, and it doesn't necessarily show up as much in like our relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. All right, Kins.
I'm good. I've asked all my questions. I feel great.
Yeah. I don't know how this is going to go exactly. It would be cool if we could have done like a maybe we'll make this a recurring segment of Devin's hot takes or something. But do you
That's a
have
good
like
name for it.
what do you think about? Actually, give us your worst.
Just
honestly.
like
tell us the
open
things
ended. What are like
you
the
hate
first
about
things
Frisbee?
you think? What are
like,
the first
I wrote-
things?
how
I wrote-
stupid are we?
I wrote down.
Yeah.
Like, what are your biggest
don't-
thoughts on Ultimate? Like, annoys you, things you like?
Yeah, like,
literally when
how-
people talk about it, like, what are the first things you want to say?
Isn't it insane that the three of us we're all part of? Well, I guess I'm part of 4 teams. They're part of 2.5. They're still halfway in on the Mama Bird thing. You never leave entirely, and like we just do this shit all the fucking time. And for what? Like, how stupid is that? Yeah. So anyway, just give us your worst. Yeah, for the love of it.
Yeah.
It's not stupid. You're stupid.
Yeah, how dare you?
Let's see. Probably my most I don't want to like rub anyone the wrong way with my hot
Don't worry
takes.
about it.
Let's see. Probably like the one that I talk about the most frequently. This is my exact verbiage that I wrote down was ultimate Twitter is unhinged like in a Trump-esque way. This is.
I will agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's. I don't have Ultimate.
I don't
Twitter,
think it's
but
a
I hear
hot
lot
take
about it.
necessarily. I just don't think it's probably my like number one most annoyed thing that I'm on Ultimate Twitter somehow. I don't really follow people. It's probably just because I follow Ultiworld, but like I he just like he gets like a little run over there. But like the Ultimate Twitter takes are just too much for me. It just is a lot. And I think that like I don't know if it's necessarily the greatest
because
thing.
Because
it's
like,
not the greatest representation of the sport, is what I'm saying.
Do you think like is it generally people having takes on other players, or is it more like how generally Frisbee players try to be social justice heroes all the time?
I think it's partially that, but it's also like I don't know. I don't want to like call anyone out, but like
do it.
Like the like half naked metal photo of Khalif was like too much for me. Like,
well, he has a horny Twitter. I've heard.
Well, everybody has a horny Twitter.
I haven't seen
like
that. I haven't
all
seen
the
that one.
all the Frisbee people are horny Twitter.
That's
okay,
what my roommate says. That's what that's Saeed's take on.
Okay, so this goes into my second hot take: is Frisbee is hypersexual and not nearly as inclusive as it's seen to be.
Oh, yeah, no, it's the sexual.
I see the sexual.
It's
part
definitely
for
it's
sure.
incestual. You mean incestual?
No, like it's just like it's like a hypersexual thing. Like everyone's like, just like everything is so. I guess maybe it's just because I'm like maybe more like traditional, if you will, but like I don't know if traditional is the right word.
Yeah, I was gonna say
traditional makes it sound like I'm not like a like I think it's just like
we're waiting till marriage.
No, yeah, you know how it is. No, I would say like
no people in Ultimate
earmuffs, mom and dad.
Horny. People in Ultimate are horny for other.
Well, okay, so this is like
players.
a good example, right? Like a Frisbee Twitter / like hypersexual, maybe not sexual thing, but like at what's the beach tournament called?
Layout.
Layout. That's like, oh, who's gonna come kiss me today? Like, oh, like let's like I kiss 15 people today. Like, I'm just not.
Well,
like,
you know way more about this than I do.
Yeah, that's weird.
Just,
I mean, I think like that's a big reason why the mixed division exists. You know, you should just find partners in the sport.
Yeah, and I think that like the overlap of relationships is like not overlap, but like people dating people and being friends with their ex who date other people who have friends with their ex who date other people, and it's like a circle of people that are all connected that have like dated or slept together.
So, yeah, whatever. I mean, we are the trash TV that you love so much. I think.
Yeah,
we're the manifestation of it.
That's actually really funny.
Well, sorry, what was the second part of the take? Because that
not
I
as
forgot
inclusive.
What it was. But
not as inclusive.
Oh, that I truly resonates. That really resonates with me. I don't think that the community in general is nearly as inclusive as it claims to be.
I think like
in a lot of ways.
There's just like a lot of times I've been. I mean, obviously, I'm only close with like. I only know the Colorado side of things, but like I just know I've been in situations where I feel like completely on the outside, like there is no way in. I think that probably is part of like the conversation of us being like, do I even want to try to become good at Frisbee to it, just because it is such a tight knit community that's like it's so difficult to like crash into the tight knit community that's like supposed to be sort of like free and loving and like open arms, but it doesn't necessarily feel like that.
It's definitely elitist too. Like I even like fall victim to it myself. Yeah. Like it's just hard. Like people want.
We call ourselves elite.
Yeah. Like and like you like tend to gravitate more towards people who are like on a good team or like I don't know, like those types of things. It's like hard. It's so stupid when you like step back and think about it, but it's hard to like, look at
Actually, that's one reason why I think I'm close with Stan is because, I'd play on good teams, whatever. But when I moved to Colorado, I was a nobody, and
now you're somebody.
In Frisbee lame or Frisbee terms and. Stan's like he never gives a shit. He doesn't care who you are or like what you do, and he thinks. I mean, he more or less thinks Frisbee's stupid. Otherwise he'd probably still be playing. But
I think that's something that's real. Go ahead, Mikey.
I was just saying, I just very much agree with that in so many different ways that we are not nearly as inclusive as we claim to be.
I think
I was actually even on the phone with.
Go.
Sorry, I was on the phone with my mom last night, and we were talking about probably the self-officiation, or no, we were talking about how Summit's playing in Golden now, and how she's sure that we'll be respective of the community because Frisbee players are such like nice, respectful people. I'm like, Mom, there's nothing special about us. Like, don't for 1 second.
I think we are. I think we're a good. I think we're nice. I think a lot of Frisbee players are nice. I don't know.
Maybe we're tame, but like we're not like. There's nothing. The way she was phrasing it's like,
right.
You're so special, which might be also because I'm her son and she's talking in a maternal way.
I think there are special parts about like the ultimate community though, that like maybe it's hard to like put those things in words. Like I think there are special parts about it. Maybe we're not like, obviously we're not special people, but I think there are like special parts of it that, you know, I think resonate with a lot of people, because a lot of people do fall in love with like the community that you get when like, and that's not a coincidence, like that when you like go to play in like summer league or whatever, and like a lot of people meet significant others and like have lifelong friends and those types of things. So I think in a lot of ways there are those positive aspects, but I definitely, especially at the elite levels, like I think that's something that I struggle with a lot, is like having just a blank slate for everyone and not looking at it from a lens from like, oh, you're going to be like really good on the team, so I should focus on being more friends with you. You know, those types of things.
Yeah.
Is elite-er a word?
A leader.
Yeah, I'm elite.
More elite. And also, I just want to tell a funny story because you were talking about like the whole like incest thing, and I just remember being kind of young, like maybe in high school, and it was a Philadelphia.
We're all nervous.
Whoa, it was
like, we're all nervous.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's funny. So it was like a Hall of Fame induction speech at like the PATA like summer league finals or whatever. So they were inducting like a bunch of my dad's friends and like all these people, because he's, you know, friends with a lot of people who've been in the community for a while. And so they were talking about like, you know, so-and-so, and like they were inducting 2 people who are like, maybe we're both like married to other people and have like kids. And they were talking about how like they've had sex in the past and like all the different people they've had sex with, who are all people that like I've known as like parents' friends for a long time. And my mind is just being blown like on the spot. Because onto them, like, keep in mind, they're all like drunk and it's like funny and it's kind of hilarious. But to me, I'm like, you and like you and what is going on? I'm like freaking the fuck out. It's just hilarious. But you know, it makes it special. Makes it fun.
It makes it special.
More hot takes.
What's the next?
Let's do
this. Let's see. These kind of like go hand. I don't think they're also hot takes though. But USAU sucks and is impacting fans' ability to support the sport. I don't think
that's a hot
Suck
take.
It, Pavel. Suck it,
I don't
Pavel.
think that's necessary. I mean, I think it's partially a hot take, but like having information prior to a tournament is like almost impossible. And I know that there's like a lot that goes into it, and like there's a lot of the reasons. I know there's probably valid reasons for the fact that things
but you're right. Like the website's terrible still. I think that's
the website's terrible. Like you don't know when games are or like where they are sometimes until like a couple weeks before. And like for somebody who does travel to tournaments sometimes and travels to places, like it makes it really complicated to know what's going on, because you can't, like, I have a job.
Yeah, like you want to support, and it's difficult.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the easiest thing. And with being a type A planner that's like organized and wanting to do things, it's really tough for me to not be like, I don't want to pay for a flight last minute, or I don't want to like find a place to stay last minute. Like sometimes field locations aren't until like 2 or 3 weeks before, or like you don't know that a tournament is happening. Like tournament in May is happening until February, or what weekend nationals is going to be until like 2 or 3, or, you know, regionals is going to be until not that long before, you know, it just like makes it hard to like go and support the sport when there isn't as much organization. I'm not having any hate on them, but it needs to be better to be able to support the sport.
Maybe we need more people like you working at USAU so that it could be more organized. Maybe all the Frisbee players are too chill and laid back.
More willingness from frisbee players too to put those resources in.
Mm.
Yeah.
Or maybe if like there could
Quinn,
be
you
more
seem like you have something on the
supporters,
tip of your tongue.
Well, shit. Another thing that like the streaming,
Yeah.
like the
I have a good
it's
example of the streaming situation.
she was pissed. She was pissed about Pro Champs this past year, I believe, because we only got streamed once, and a couple other teams got streamed 3 times, or we didn't even get
You
streamed.
didn't
And
get
a
a
couple other
stream
teams
game
got
at
streamed,
all.
and they got streamed. A
There
couple
was
teams
like
got streamed
3
3
teams that got
times,
streams 3 times during the whole thing.
and she DM'd Altiworld and said, "Why the hell is this happening?" And they said, "Because the field sites are so far apart." And it wasn't. It was just like bullshit. Like, I don't know.
yeah. And to me, this goes back to like the whole infrastructure piece of like, I mean, Altiworld's resources are also limited, but we can all solve this problem if we were, well, we can't all solve
I don't
this
think
problem. But
that is the
if people,
solution, though. Like,
but no, I'm just saying if people were, if people were willing to put money into the sport,
yes, I think
which
that
we are
for
not.
sure. But it's also just
Yeah.
so built around players. Like there's no
Yeah.
like it's not
It's
built
built
for
around
like
players.
spectators or like supporters or anything like that. It's just like built to like give people who are playing, and mostly people that are playing like at a higher level having a good time. So like that's probably one of the problems.
Yeah, that's also
So
true.
I guess like
That's
I
also
thought it was
true.
interesting during the Liam interview that he was talking about how like making sure you grow the sport in the right way. I think it was Liam interview anyways, and I think that that's like, an interesting perspective from like a player because I don't like really have that like being selfish and on my side. I'm like, well, no, like I want to watch the games and I want to be able to support it and not follow along on like a Twitter feed that might or might not be updated.
Right.
Because like in the same way that we are fans of other sports, like you still want to be part of it.
Yeah.
But so here we go too. This is still a problem in the NHL.
Yeah.
Like one of the big 4 leagues in the United States. It's still a problem. Like people in Colorado cannot watch the Avs.
The blackout stuff.
Like you cannot. So sometimes they're on ESPN for like 10 games a season, but you can't watch them on ESPN if you're in Colorado because they're blacked out.
Why?
That's
because
not just
blacked out for
thing,
Colorado.
But
there's more. That's a true thing for all sports, which is crazy. But also, you cannot watch the Avs on Altitude, which is the local channel for Colorado, unless you have DirecTV, because Stan Kroenke, the owner, does not provide or doesn't do a deal with any other TV services. So you have to have DirecTV to watch it. So you basically have to pirate it, or else you can't watch it.
Yeah,
it's like, this is a professional sport.
It's not like open for the majority, right? Like if you don't have the money to pay $120 a month in cable,
it's more than that.
$170 a month,
$200. Yeah, it's like
I've had that thought a lot about a lot of sports. Like I want to support this, I want to watch this, but I don't have an avenue to.
And it's just so hard. So like,
but I think it's also part of like the tournament culture of club versus AUDL, because AUDL I get to watch every single game, whether it's in person or over, and I pay $9.99 for it, right?
Which is sick.
But the tournament culture doesn't necessarily lend to being able to watch every game or the best games. Like I'm lucky because I have a pretty good reason for being angry that Bravo isn't on a streamed game, right? Like you guys are really good. You should definitely be on a streamed game. It doesn't make any sense. If I was supporting a team that maybe isn't as good as Bravo, and you probably don't ever get stream games at tournaments ever.
Very rare. It'd be like a huge deal, you know? It'd be like awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. And so like I'm lucky that I am able to watch games in general, like for you guys when you do play, and that's good. But it's like, again, one of those things from a spectator enjoying the sport, being supportive. Like if I don't get to watch the game, like that sucks for me. And it doesn't make me feel like I get to be part of the sport. And I can't like all of my friends, when there is a streamed game, like a lot of my friends go in and watch the game. I like text my friends and I'm like, hey guys, like Quinn's playing, and they'll go like log into the stream and watch. Or like when you guys are on FS2, like my friends will go on for AUDL and watch FS2. Or
I love this.
I get to like tell my friends to be in the sport, and they become more a fan of the sport because it's accessible to be a part of and watch.
Right. It's super
Right.
accessible. And that's why that's, I guess, the interesting thing about being like, well, I want to make sure it grows in the right way. But like maybe just having it grow and being accessible to more people is going to overall be good for the sport. And you can make sure that like as it's growing or like as things change, you can still, have it be played in a way that you want it to be played. Because like right now, there'd be no way to grow the sport and like play Club Ultimate, the format of Club Ultimate in like a professional setting because there's no fields with stadiums built to like, or I guess you would just make the field
Right.
smaller, but it would just be weird. I don't know.
Like I didn't ever get my friends' buy-ins and like on Quinn playing Frisbee until they were able to like watch a game with
Watch
me
him.
or
Yeah.
watch it
They're like,
on
what
TV.
is this thing that Quinn does?
Yeah, exactly.
that
Like
we
our
don't-
two friends, Rachel and Britt, and like Nat and Scott, they were all hanging out and watched one of Quinn's games, and we're like, "Oh, this is way cooler than I thought it was." Oh, I now
Yeah, it's probably
understand
hard for
why-
them to. They're probably like, Devin, why are you supporting him doing this thing? Like,
Yeah,
why
well,
is
my
he
friends,
wasting his?
like my
Why are
first
you with
job,
this junkie?
Yeah,
This
my first
ultimate
job, all my
stoner.
friends thought it was so crazy that Quinn was gone all the time and they didn't understand it. And then AUDL, they've never been more interested in Quinn playing Frisbee than now that he's playing AUDL, and they can actually come and like watch a game or come
Yeah.
out to a game or watch it on TV or watch it on FS2. Like it's growing the sport
Yeah.
outside of this little community of like friends being able to be part of it.
This is
And
a really
understand what
interesting
he do,
perspective.
he does
Like,
all
when
day long.
When I think of going back to Liam's comment about growing the sport in the right way, and I don't want to, put words in Liam's mouth, but like we as players are generally only thinking of it from our perspective. Like, what does that mean? The right way. It's the right way for who? But like, there's such a big component outside of just the people on your team, the people that play the sport. Like, and it's not even just growing to a fan base of like strangers. It's literally our friends and family. Like
To start
we're
with,
literally
for
trying to
sure.
make it more inclusive for the people that mean the most to us in our lives, for us to be able to foster better relationships with each other.
Right, because that's how it would start for sure. Like it would be all the people that are like the closest related to the players and the that whole growth thing and how we're gonna do it. That's a big doozy, huh?
Yeah.
It's a doozy.
But I will just like AUDL has made it significantly simpler for us to talk to people and have them see what he does and why he does it, and that it's a lot cooler than it sounds.
Yeah, it's that pro effect for sure. It definitely.
Yeah, the pro effect and like just freaking the ability to go and watch what it is.
Just to be able to support, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Right, because and then it's not like some imaginative thing. Now it's like actually something that you've watched on TV with commentators, and it's cool. Yeah. Which like to get that experience, you'd have to like make a game in like semis or finals of a big tournament and be on ESPN, and that like barring that like
because you know what,
there's not a lot of attraction to like an all two world like stream.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Going back to like sort of the elitist thing, I heard somebody say this. I don't know. I do recall who, but I will not call this person out. But it was about the WUL, and this person said, "I feel like it's just an excuse for second tier players to get attention or something like that." And like, what is that? That's just like such a terrible thing to say, in my opinion, because what is it? Who are any of us to say like who deserves to play in any level or just to be supported, just to have fans and experience it? It was like such a bummer thing to hear.
I think it's like
loud.
a weird thing with explaining. It's like going to the explaining club versus AUDL conversation. Like the sport is overly fractured at the moment. There's too many different things going on with club and mixed and men's and women's and worlds and U24 or like World Games and AUDL, PUL, WL. Like there's so many things that's going on that there's not any one thing for people to latch onto.
I agree.
There's
I'm impressed that you were able to name all of those things.
Yeah, you named all of them. God damn, that was crazy.
Because Quinn made me watch a lot of them, you know. So.
Before the podcast, Quinn had flashcards going like,
yeah.
wow.
Hey, give me some credit. Give me some credit. I'm overly involved. We've said this.
Yeah, no, that is impressive. That's crazy. Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Other takes
who's your favorite Frisbee player?
Favorite Frisbee player?
Not Quinn, obviously.
Yeah, not me.
I
know it's not me.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Maddie J or Chance Cochran, just because I love both of them, and Chance has a big place in my heart after last year.
I think there's a women's player that is your favorite that you're forgetting about.
Oh, Manu? Yeah, Manu's fucking sick. He's I would say, but I guess I took that in two separate ways because I took it sort of in a Frisbee way and a friend way. But Manu is my favorite person to watch. Yeah. I love watching
Manu. Tell us
more.
Yeah, that makes
Tell
sense.
us more, actually. What do you love most about watching her play?
Freaking hand block at Nationals. I lost my fucking mind. Not hand block. What was it? Layout?
The layout.
Just layout block, whatever it was.
Block, yeah. No,
just a goal-saving reverse layout block.
Yeah, she was running the opposite direction and then went the opposite direction and blocked the disc. And I've never seen something more sick than that play. Like I was freaking out over and over again about that play.
Yeah, we were warming up during that part of the game, and I had the stream going on my phone. I just like blew up. I'm sure like nobody had any idea what was going on.
Yeah. It was insane.
It was, yeah. She's amazing. She really transcends, the fandom.
Yeah.
She's a superstar.
Yeah, she's high on our list of people our dream list of people to get on the pod. Yeah. As soon as we work up the courage to ask her, and hopefully she doesn't say no.
Well, if she's listening, then
please come on.
Please.
We
love you.
Any other Devynn hot takes?
My only other one was that spirit of the game is also ruining the sport. I really have struggles with spirit of the game.
Ooh, interesting.
And just like not having refs in general is kind of what
it's like not having refs and like the idea. I don't know. Probably because I've grown up on like traditional sports, but like I don't like the fact that like you get so much hate for chirping. Like Ken's like, you shouldn't get as much hate as you do for chirping people. I think it's just like part of being competitive and part of being like really passionate about something. I don't really understand why it's taken as such like you're a terrible person. I mean, listening like to the Sean Keegan episode, I think that was like him talking about his side of things too. I mean, it just, to me, it's something that should be part of sports. Like passion is part of sports, not to like a physical manner where like you're trying to fight people. That's stupid. Don't do that. But like, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to be like angry and say an offhand comment during a game, like about somebody playing. Maybe that's just a me thing, but I don't know. I think that that's really tough. And then also like when you're watching as a spectator and two people are arguing over
that's the worst. That's terrible.
For like 2, 3, 4 minutes, it is miserable for the sport. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, it's like, please go to commercial instead or something.
Yeah, or like terrible. Just figure it out, go to the Observer. It doesn't make any sense to me why like there's so much conversation. I understand both of you are pleading your case, but I don't necessarily think it should be a pleading case sort of situation when you're in this, like in a sport. So maybe I just don't understand the self-officiation side, but it makes it difficult for a spectator to understand what's going on, especially because it's not like most of the time they're not mic'd up. You don't know what they're talking about. You don't know what they're arguing about. And they're just sitting there for 3-4 minutes.
You just watch them reenact the play. It's like,
and you don't know what's going on. And like sometimes the commentators, if there's like a commentator that doesn't really know what's going on, like maybe they come up with something that then was not what they were actually talking about.
No, that is actually probably the worst thing about spectating like Club Ultimate right now. Is just that it's so unwatchable.
And
What a
especially when
for
it's like 10 in a row, it'll be like, oh, this happened and then this happened. It's like, I don't remember what game, but there was one game during nationals that there was a lot of conversation happening, play after play after play after play.
A big positive out of the mini stoppages is it provide a lot of content of Sean Keegan and our most watched Instagram reel. Thank you, Sean.
How many likes we got on that one now?
I don't know. For us, like probably 3 times as many as any other poster or more.
I feel like you could also change it. Like maybe if there is that situation, like a timeout happens or something, and then the two people continue, and then everybody goes off and gets water or something.
Going to timeout.
I don't know. Like it's just like when everyone's just standing on the field and nothing is happening. It's just like doesn't. It is not fun
torture
to watch.
Yeah.
Especially when it's a like timed thing, right? Like you have your cap, like your hard cap and soft cap or whatever it is, like you.
Yeah, that has to be a confusing thing too. Like my parents, if they've ever watched a game, they're probably like, wait, I thought you played a 15. Why did you just stop at 13, 12? It's
yes.
There are a lot of weird.
And the amount of times I've explained that to parents on the field and tried to go through game's actually to 14 because you were at 12, and then it's +2 when that horn goes off, and
they've changed that rule. It's actually +1 now.
Yeah, +1. Whatever. That's another good point. Is that it changed, and there was a while that like the tournament, like it was hard to tell. There was one game that you guys ended up on Universe, and I had no idea that you were on Universe because I didn't even.
We might not have either.
Didn't know either.
That happens to us all the time too.
It makes it difficult. It's just like it makes it difficult for a spectator of the sport to understand what's happening. Like, who wants to be watching something that they don't understand what's going on with what's happening in that moment?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
it's not great.
It's complicated. The highlights are good, but watching the games can be tough.
Yeah, gotta be. Should be addressed, you would think.
Yeah, because when you're watching it live, you can't do like Quinn does and skip through all of the stuff and skip through in between points, and you can't skip through the conversation on the field. Like, you're just sitting there watching it for 90 minutes.
All right. Do you have any questions for us?
I don't think so. I don't really.
Mikey always asks this after like 2 hours of a conversation. Like, I don't think you're ever really gonna get someone being like, "Yes, I have multiple questions for each one of you."
Yeah, all right, I'll stop asking that question.
Or ask it earlier when people are more willing to talk.
Earlier, yeah. No, I was too busy thinking of the hot takes. I didn't have time for questions, but
those are great. Actually, it's really good to hear that perspective from a non-player.
Yeah,
I was just very surprised. We never talked about Red Bull, and I thought for sure that would come up.
Holy shit, we didn't talk about Red Bull.
I was gonna ask. It became such an ultimate podcast. We know I'm anti-ultimate podcast.
I was telling my boss I was at the Rockies game, and I was like, "Yeah, we're for sure." Like, we were just at the Rockies game in the middle of work because why not? And I was telling her, I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing this podcast, and like I just have to imagine that Red Bull will come up." Never did. I was wow.
For reference, give
closing
some background.
Segment.
What?
Yeah, closing segment.
Yeah.
Well, okay. For reference,
Red Bull.
Devynn works for Red Bull. Okay, can you give a 2-second or 10-second explanation of what your connection to Red Bull is?
I work for Red Bull.
I work for Red Bull.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know. I'm a category manager for 7-Eleven.
So Red Bull sponsors a ton of niche, weird sports. Would Red Bull ever sponsor a Frisbee team?
I'm trying to work on it. I'm trying to at least get some connection for a not necessarily a sport. They would have to buy a sports team. So,
but the issue is like they sponsor athletes most of the time. Like it's
the only team that they own is basically like F1, and they own like New York Red Bull soccer team. Yeah.
And they also have a hand in the German
Yeah, they have like in Bundesliga or something.
Oh
Don't
yeah,
Yeah, it's the team in the
Yeah.
Bundesliga.
they? Yeah.
no, I think you were
Whatever.
on it, but yeah,
Aren't they actually the Red Bulls?
they might be.
Yeah. The New York.
New York
New
is
York?
the Red Bulls. Yeah.
New York is the Red Bulls. Yeah.
Spietzel. Hold on.
Their logo is a couple Red Bulls. Well, can
Yeah.
they sponsor
Yeah.
me and Quinn then? Quinn and I. Can they?
I'm trying to get them to do something. I have been trying to explain. I was meeting with like
Yeah, it's Leipzig. I was right.
Let me
It's
talk
Leipzig.
to him.
I was meeting with like these people who were the I guess like West Division coordinators for all of the events and stuff. For like basically Colorado, California up to Washington, whatever. I was talking to them about how Frisbee is like such a massive Red Bull community. Like when you go to a tournament, every single team has a case of Red Bull, and it's like very, very popular within the sport. And I was trying to get him to buy in on Frisbee, so I'm chipping away at the rock to try.
We
to
need
get
some
him to-
yeah, that's the thing. You need some hype videos to show them, kind of like we were talking about. They've got to like actually have something physical.
What? Yeah.
That they
What can we
see,
do anything to
tangible.
help?
Yeah,
I'm persuasive.
maybe I figure out a way to get a pitch going on. I'll talk to my my shopper
yeah.
marketing counterparts and see if I can get a pitch going on.
I'm a persuasive person, Devin. We'll add it to the list of pitches that I can help make because I'm gonna get Nike or someone. Oh yeah, Matty Jackson's dad works at Nike, so we're gonna get cleats as well. And I would love some
The uplines.
Yeah, the uplines. I would love some like Chilkins cleats. I would also really like Kins Bowl.
Kins Bowl.
Kins Bowl. Or Red
That one
Kins.
might take a while. I'll
Okay.
have to convince
Red-
Austria.
I think they would like
Redkins.
Redkins more. We can go. I'm flexible. I'm super.
You've got Chilkins on your feet and
Redkins on
Redkins
my-
in your brain.
Yeah.
That's an
Well, I was telling Quinn, I
unstoppable
was like,
combo.
well, I was telling Quinn, I was like, yeah, we gotta come up with some sort of pitch. Like my job is literally to like sell things through data.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like that
I
is
think
what I
yeah.
do
So
all
we gotta
day,
show them the
every day.
stats.
I think the biggest
We gotta
thing.
get some viewership.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
the biggest
and I
thing.
make presentations all day. I make some pretty damn good presentations. So
Totally. And I think the biggest thing is I've been thinking about this with the cleats. The biggest thing is you need to show to them is that it's a growing sport. Because if they think that it's a growing sport and they could you could hook every ultimate player into being super bought into the brand of Red Bull, like those are the kinds of numbers that you're trying to convince them on, you know? Yes. You need that's why, dude, I'm persuasive.
the full
bro.
picture, you know?
Yeah.
No,
But
we were
those-
talking about all the different ways. We were talking about it with Toner last night, and he was after the game, and we were talking about. He was challenging me on some of the statistics around like what we would need to be able to get people on it.
Right.
Mm.
Because it would almost be interesting. You'd want to look at other statistics maybe that Red Bull's interested in when they're going to engage in other projects.
Oh yeah, it's all about
those
the brand, baby. That's all we talk about all day long is brand love and can love. So
Right. So it's
that's what we call it. Yeah.
if you could
Love and
convince them that
can
you
love.
could
Brand love and can love.
So if
Yeah.
you could cultivate brand love and can love in Ultimate, which it already, like you were saying, is pretty high, and then also prove to them that the numbers of Ultimate are expanding, those are the types of things that they'd have to be bought in on to worth investing in.
Yeah, worth the time and money. Yeah, it's interesting just having conversations with different people. I had dinner with a Red Bull Records lady, and she was telling me about how Red Bull Records has grown and they've started to invest in a lot of different genres of music. She's a music producer for them, and how they're going into different avenues and the ways that they kind of got Red Bull to go off of just they're mostly focused in independent rappers and stuff, and now they're shifting into alternative and all kinds of different places. And she was talking about how she got people into the brand without it necessarily aligning with brand values. So I think
sponsoring those rappers and stuff.
yeah,
there's an
and
avenue.
giving them money and time and setting up, basically becoming their record label. Red Bull Records is a record label for smaller
Right.
people. And it was just interesting to hear her talking about all of that. I do think that there is validity to this. It's just finding the right people to talk to.
There's validity to everything. Anything's
Yeah.
everything's possible. I'm a dreamer. It can happen. We can make it happen.
Yeah.
Also, side note, if you're coming to the wedding, we have like 150 12-ounce Red Bulls in our car, and we have to drink all of them from 5 to 10 p.m. on Saturday.
Why?
So
What?
get ready.
Why do we
Like,
have
about
to?
to expire.
We don't actually
No,
have
they're all
to.
gonna be.
We're going to.
Everybody's having a Red Bull vodka.
Everybody's got to have 2.
Yeah. You can have your Red Bull. You could just have a regular Red Bull. You know, it's fine.
I'll drink a Red Bull for sure.
But there's 6 different
Oh,
flavors
yeah.
of Red Bull for everyone.
Sometimes I forget that there's an option for non-alcoholic drinks at weddings.
Yeah.
Mikey,
Yeah.
how's your earth tone search going?
We were talking about that earlier. I might need. I'm gonna go try to buy some brown shoes and maybe.
I got some brown shoes and I have green pants. This is the
Do we
most
match
shopping.
Quinn?
Yeah.
Quinn's
Is
in
that-
full green
We
fit.
can match.
Is that bad?
Yeah, is that a
No,
faux
no.
pas?
Isn't
Yeah.
that bad?
No.
Is that like wearing all white?
No,
No.
I'd love to match with you.
I was
Good.
planning to wear a white dress.
Yeah.
yeah.
That would actually be fine. That would be fine.
Um,
Are you guys getting tattoos at the wedding or what?
I don't know,
are we
dude.
doing
I
it?
like-
Well,
I don't
shit,
know.
come
can, you
on,
send,
man.
can you send us a preview of the
We're
options?
trying. We're waiting for the flash sheet.
Our artist said she was going to send us the sheet
You
soon.
get
So
like the Bravo? No, I don't know.
The thing is, it would be my first tattoo ever.
You're
I
gonna
know,
be
how
like
fun
one
would
of.
that
We
be?
have like 5 or
Same.
6 friends that are already getting their first
Yeah.
tattoos. So
it's going to be sick.
I do want to get an earring, so I might need some advice there from for all 3 of you at some point.
Yeah. Well, you need a tattoo first. That's just how it works.
I think piercings are before tattoos.
yeah,
Definitely.
you can take them out and they go away.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just like rip off a tattoo. you know?
Above 0% chance that I'll do it. Actually, I do
Perfect.
want. I
That's
do
all I
want
need
to
to
know
hear.
what do you think the over under on tattoos? Maybe. How many people are you expecting in the wedding?
Like 110.
Over under.
Over under's got to be like 20 or 30, I think.
Over. Hammer the over on that.
Really?
I bet.
Well, Maddie will
bet-
do it, right?
We have
Yeah, I bet.
8
that-
hours of a tattoo artist.
Yeah, and I
I
bet
know.
she's not going to have time to do all the people that want one.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Because
I bet it's going to be like 50.
We have
well,
we have-
a lot of the.
We have 19 of just our friends and like our really close, like our 5
yeah.
friends, and then all of our family. There's 18 or 19.
Oh, yeah. So I was way off. Yeah. It's the over under.
Wait,
is
all of
like
your family's
50.
gonna do it? Like your parents?
Yeah, both of his parents, both of my parents.
Yeah, dude.
My sister, both his brother and his brother's girlfriend.
Wow.
I think both of Anne's brothers are gonna get one. His mom's brothers are gonna get one. My aunt.
Holy.
How is it going to impact the dance floor?
It's not. It's in a
Can you-
back room.
It
It's
won't.
right next to
It's
the
in the back
bar,
room.
so you can go to the bar.
But no
Oh, God,
bleeding
I'm
on. Oh, that's
nervous.
perfect. That was the joke earlier that we should have like a sheet of only Mama Bird logos and have any CSU player
Have to
just-
get one.
just like just give them extra shots at the bar and just deeply encourage them to get a tattoo.
Get a tattoo.
Right.
You have to get a tattoo. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you guys should get
Well, that'd be a
tattoos.
good prank.
It'll be fun.
That'd be a good prank to play on somebody.
Yeah.
Above 0% chance.
Perfect.
There's nothing, like I said, nothing is ever 0%.
Yeah.
Just like
Well-
our Red Bull
After-
sponsorship.
After 2 Red Bull vodkas, you'll want.
I know, that's what I'm concerned about. Slightly.
Yeah, alcohol and tattoos, and then
Caffeine.
across the way our like dessert board is going to be. It's all in this little back room, so it'll be nice. You can get a donut and a drink and get a tattoo. So
Oh my God.
we're one stop
Ooh.
shop.
No, that was a good idea. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Well, I cannot wait for this weekend. I think it's going to be a
It
blast.
is gonna be a lot.
Congratulations to both of you. Kins,
No,
what do you
man.
got for them?
That's it. That was
We love you both.
you,
Mm.
Peace out, everybody.
All right. Peace.